are AI musicians, or is it even like even use AI and put musician in the same sentence together? Some people don't think so. Let's talk about this thumbnail that sort of set off this conversation in the first place and got me sort of So anyway, well, that's what we're going to talk about. Welcome back to AI DIY. I'm your host, Matt. AIDIY.tech is the website. I want to talk about that thumbnail. Now, turns out that the thumbnail and the content, Miss Krystle, I think her name is, her lawyer show that talks about legalities in AI music. But I've been wanting to do this sort of riff for a while and talking about AI art, musicians. I get a lot of submissions that come through, and I used to, when I first started out with this thing, say AI musicians are musicians, and 80% of me believed it and 20% left room to be wrong. I didn't not believe it in the 20%, but I thought, no, I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. After having gotten so many submissions for your songs that have come through, the videos that you've put through, I don't just ask when people do submissions to put their songs through in their links. If you go to my submission, which is, by the way, aidiy.tech/contact, if you go there, I don't just say, give me your music. I want to know a bit of story behind it. I want to have a conversation with you. So I can tell you from the context that I come from, because I deal with this every day, I would have listened to a couple thousand songs by now. There's 0% chance. It's 100% now you are artists. But I want to sort of break down the idea of how I've sort of come to this as well. Years ago, I really started reading books about self-development or learning things. I wanted to have my own thoughts, and I wanted to sort of go in a way. And I read these books about art or artists or creations. There's 3 books in particular that I want you to sort of think about, and that form the basis of my argument that you are what you are and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And I don't want you to feel that me thinking you're an artist or anybody else online or your family or anything like that is you need to convince them that you are what you are. I want you to be in a place after you watch this video that you feel comfortable enough in yourself that what you're creating is art and what you're creating is important, and what other people feel in that is just their opinions, and I want you to be totally comfortable with that. So the books I read, in particular the one I read, is called The War of Art, and it's obviously a bit of a spin on the art of war. What I got out of that book, and I highly recommend you read these books, what I got out of that, The War of Art, is no matter what you're doing, whether it's in carpentry, whether it's in AI music, whether it's in playing guitar, whether you're in IT, you can be a creative. You can do things and feel good about them because you've taken something that exists, you become good at it, and you're creative in that space. Since I read that book, it really made me feel good about, yes, there's a task or there's a project involved and stuff like that, but the way I deliver that project is creative to me. So when you're literally going to a AI music maker and you're learning tools on how to edit, like in your DAW, or you're learning how to edit videos that go with that music, and you're putting specific imagery to go and tell a story with that music, that's art. And even if you don't go that far, it's art. I really want you to think about what I just said, and just forget about the part that, like, if someone plays guitar and that's what they think the only thing is art is, remember what I said. You can be doing literally any job. When you put your own creativity and own spin on it, that becomes art. I think people out there that are bagging AI music, I think they actually know that it's not just going to AI and saying, make me a song, and then you put no effort into publishing it. I think we live in a time now where everything is an extreme, and people either consciously or unconsciously go to great efforts to just overstate things that aren't real. Like I see this thing all the time. It's like someone will have their thought that it's original idea. Literally, someone talking about how you're not an AI artist will regurgitate the same exact rubbish line. This is them typing. Oh, I don't think art and AI should be used in the same sentence, right? And they're like, yes, nailed it, got that comment down. I've seen that exact thing 800 times. You're not creative. I'm not likely to say in any way that anybody's not creative. You're not creative in that way. Anyway, so my next book that I want to talk about is called The Icarus Deception. And this, if you put these two books together and you read them both, you're going to be a lot more comfortable with being able to remove that stigma inside of you and just be comfortable with who you are. The Icarus Deception. This one talks about how you don't need permission from anybody anymore. It used to be that you had to convince a studio exec in a record company or a TV. Now, if you have something and you think it's art and you think it's creative and you think the world's going to watch, it's not necessarily true, but you can put it out there and for the world to see, and you can publish it and you can market it. And if the world likes it and it's creative, people will go and flock to it. So even if they don't, the point of that is the tech exists now where you can just start your own YouTube channel. You can create something and publish it to Suno. You can publish it to the other streaming platforms. You don't need permission. And that's the beautiful thing about now, right? The only thing that's stopping you is the fact that maybe you're not doing it. It might just be that you don't have time. There's different ways that you do, but there's nothing stopping you from publishing that. And probably the last thing I want to say on this thing to try to convince you to just push all that noise aside is that stigma seems to be sticking to people where people are defensive about it, right? Like I read this every day in the different Facebook groups, in the Discords and all that, especially when it comes to writing lyrics. Now, I've mentioned this before, definitely be proud of your writing lyrics. Don't use it as a way of separating yourself from other people. Be proud of it. I'm finding that people are saying, I'm not part of that crowd. I write my own lyrics, so I don't count me in on this. We're all in this together. We all do different things. And also, people like, I separate the stems and then I redo the music all my own. So don't put me with them. We're all using AI tools to create it in different ways. Whether we're creating lyrics and Suno and Udio do the rest, or we're singing and the Suno and Udio is the background. It's all a tool, and we're all being creative. I just want you to know that. Don't think that you have to justify yourself. You're an artist, you created that, and people just either take it or they don't. And if you could subscribe below, follow me along. I'm almost at that first stage of monetization. And go ahead and take note of my charity, the John Fawcett Foundation. They do cataract surgery out in Indonesia. I'd really appreciate it if you do a donation either on my website or go to their website and do a donation there. Either way is fantastic. Buy 1 million of my shirts or whatever I have in my store right now. That would really help me, and I'd appreciate that. So now my actual last point, I get a lot of submissions through my website, and like I mentioned before, I like to hear a little bit about you. I don't want people to feel that stigma anymore. I want people to 100% embrace, read those books. I think you'll get a lot better perspective other than reading just people putting you down all the time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, if you want to submit your songs for my 5 reviews, go to aidiy.tech/contact. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.